Hey there, TikTokers. Hopefully you guys have been working around with those power chords based off of the 6-string root and coming up with all sorts of cool Metallica sort of sounding kind of stuff. And as I mentioned, the first string is the same note as the 6. Got to check that intonation. So I'm just playing around with the same notes that I've given you. There's just all the notes in the natural scale. But today we're going to work on the 5th string, which we're going to approach in a very similar manner. We're going to use chords that have their root on the 5th string. All right. So very much, again, borrowing a page from the Cage system that I didn't know existed until a few years ago, and don't really teach from it. But this is our A. That's our open string A. You can also go minor. You can also do what I call the sandwich chord, which is useful at times when you're finger picking, you want that open string to play. But for the most part, I think of it as a bar. And again, what we're going to do is take that position. I want to put my 3rd finger in there. Now, I really don't play the chord like this, but this is to illustrate a point that my 5th string open is A. And that is the note that names the chord. A to B, as we know, is a whole step. So we're going to go 1, 2, 2 frets to make a whole step. There's my B. B to C is one of our 2 half steps. So we're going to go up to the 3rd fret. When I say 3rd fret, I'm calling out my 1st finger note. 3rd fret to 5th fret for our whole step from C to D. Okay. From D to E is going to be another whole step, so that's 5th fret to 7th fret. E to F is one of our trusty and faithful half steps. And that's kind of where I get those Metallica kind of sounds. They love dealing with half steps because it creates tension. And then F to G on the 10th fret, and G to A. We're back to A. And see, I just like to play around with those half steps a little bit. It gives me some, like I said, tension. If you ever saw Jaws, or you can look it up on YouTube, they do a lot of that. I'm not quite sure what the note is, but then I can use pick for this. I don't know what the high notes are. I never figured out the whole piece on guitar, but that's Stravinsky's Rite of Spring does sort of the same sort of thing, but with dynamics. Non-repeating accents. But anyway, I digress as usual. So we have A. Now again, which chord do I use? I consider C to be the pivotal chord where I will switch over from 5th string to a 6th string root. Why is that? Because the C 6th string is about as high as I want to go. Besides, I got these, one of my students called sausage fingers. So I get up to the D and I start getting squeezed. Even though it looks like, yeah, I do have a lot more neck to go. But usually if it's a C chord, I might switch to this. If it's a descending chord progression, I'll stay up here on the 8th fret. But if I'm going to be going, I would probably opt for that root on the 5th string, and we can call them R5 and R6 for short, root on the 5th string and root on the 6th string. So unlike the 6th string, though, we don't have a duplicate A note on our guitar. So you now would know half of the strings and the notes up those strings, all natural. Okay, again, we'll get to the sharps and flats a little bit later on, but for right now, take the songs that you've been given, like say for instance let's see. Now that's an E, D, and A. There's my D chord, root on the fifth string, A. Now it doesn't play out very well because I got to go back down here. But regardless, you can start to play around with it. Like, you know what? I've been playing it this way. I think I like it better that way. It's always kind of interesting when I go see somebody play in concert. Eddie Van Halen was a big example of that, where I'm doing all these crazy things up and down because I'm figuring out the songs by ear. He's down here most of the time. He does a lot of the stuff down here. You know, he takes the hard work out of it. Now, that's not to take anything away from him. He was a genius and extremely creative and thought outside the box. But a lot of his stuff I was making harder than it had to be. So have some fun with that. And I'll see you next time.